All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, just a couple things we're going to discuss. We'll talk more about Brandon Aiyuk as well as talking about Matt Milano of the Buffalo Bills. So, right now, Aiyuk is still with the 49ers. I know earlier in the week we talked about how there was a deal in place with the Steelers and he it's possible he's going to end up going there, but that hasn't happened yet. However, Aiyuk has, was spotted at practice. He was dressed in team colors. He was with teammates. He was, interacting with them and John Lynch, the general manager. So, I don't know what's going on. Is he coming back? Is he getting traded? What is happening right now? Because we hear earlier in the week that they got a trade that's in place. He could be going to Pittsburgh, but you also heard that they were negotiating with him still. So I don't know what's going on. But I can tell you this: I don't know anything. that's really what it comes down to. Is we don't know. We don't know. I don't know. And now he's in 49ers gear at practice. So, does that mean that things are moving towards a possible extension? Like, what is happening? It's just, this has been going on for too long. And, next week is the final week of preseason. Then we got the week off, and then we're in the regular season. So, there's got to be a resolution coming. My guess is that next week, next week I think is when we're going to get a resolution. I think it's either they're going to come to an agreement or he's going to end up getting traded. It's going to happen sometime next week. That's my prediction. Now, it's not really that bold, but how much longer is this going to, keep going on for? Because, I don't think the 49ers, both sides don't want to be dealing with this. But, at some point, the 49ers are going to want to move forward. And that's going to be with or without Aiyuk. Now, they have constantly been saying they don't want to trade him. But now we hear, he's possibly being shopped at the draft. And, now the deal with the Steelers, it's a possibility that ends up happening. So, we don't really know. But I just know this, speaking for myself and probably for whoever's watching this, we just want there to be a resolution. Just get us somewhere where this ends. Because, it's just people are getting tired of hearing about it. So, like I said, he's at practice, so we'll see if a deal ends up getting made. Whether it's a trade to the Steelers or he gets a new contract with the Niners. Listen, he had a chance to go to the Patriots. The Patriots were willing to offer him whatever he wanted. It's just he didn't want to go there because, the Patriots are not in the best position right now to compete, not even a championship, but just a playoff spot. So he doesn't want to go there. And I don't know the Browns were a team that was mentioned that they could have, flipped Amari Cooper for Aiyuk. That didn't happen. The Steelers, they got a deal in place. Now it's just up to, do the 49ers want to trade him or not? Or are they going to be able to get a deal done? So, again, just continuing to play that waiting game. But it's just, can we just get to the point where it ends? That's what we want. That's what we want. But the other thing I wanted to discuss too was Matt Milano of the Buffalo Bills. And he recently suffered a torn bicep during a tackling drill in Tuesday's practice. He's going to undergo surgery, out indefinitely. He could come back in early December, though it remains uncertain. And this is a guy that has dealt with, injuries over the last couple of seasons. He's a big part of their defense, and this is the second consecutive season that he's faced a major injury. He fractured his leg in week 5 of last year. They kept him out for the rest of the year. And, the Bills have gone through some changes this offseason. And, they're and Matt Milano was still one of the, core pieces on defense that was still there. But he unfortunately gets hurt again. So who knows if he comes back in December, the playoffs maybe. But, it's, however you look at this injury, it's a blow in some capacity to the Bills defense. But yeah, since becoming a full-time starter in 2018, Milano has struggled with injuries. He has never completed a full regular season. So yeah, injuries have been a problem for him. And we'll take a look at the last few seasons. So he played in 5 games last year, 15 in 2022, 16 in 2021, 10 in 2020, 15 in 2019, 13 in 2018, 16 in 2017. But yeah, 5 games last year because of the broken leg, and now, it's going to be out probably the whole season. But the other thing too is he was out for that much. He was out for a long time last year, and the Bills, they still finished as the number 2 seed in the conference. So despite that, they still ended up finishing with a good record and, as a top 2 seed in the AFC. Now, did that amount to anything? No, because they ended up losing to the Chiefs in the divisional round. But it still is a blow to this team, however you want to look at it. But like I said, he missed all that time last year, and they still finished with a good record and made the playoffs. So I think people are just banking on. People do believe that the Bills, despite certain guys that they lost on the defensive side of the ball, losing Stephon Diggs, trading Stephon Diggs, that this team is still going to be good, and they're going to be good enough where they're going to make the playoffs. And I'm going to make my predictions when we get closer to the regular season on who I think is going to make the playoffs, who I think is going to miss out. It is hard for me to say the Bills are going to miss the playoffs just because, they still got the quarterback that can will them to the playoffs. But, it's possible that they miss out. Anything is possible. But, yeah, I still think this injury does hurt. I mean, it hurts him too. I mean, he wants to be out there with his teammates. It's just, these last couple years now, it's been tough. So, yeah, just another unfortunate injury early on here in this 2024 campaign. I mean, again, we just can't shake him, man. It's just every year it's going to happen. So, but yeah, those are a couple of things that I wanted to touch upon and discuss because, the Milano injury is unfortunate, and Aiyuk, we're moving towards something. We're moving towards something, but we just want to get there already. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, for the 49ers, if he ends up going, other guys are going to have to step up. Same thing with the Bills. Same thing with the Bills. I mean, some of the younger guys are going to have to step up. I mean, Von Miller, is he going to turn back the clock and be a force on this defense? He's getting older. That remains to be seen. But, you still, well, I know, looking at their defense right now, I know when I was watching the Bills-Bears game the other day, yeah, Ed Oliver gets hurt, I think on the very first play. Because the Bears got the ball first. He got hurt in one of the first plays of the game. He's a big piece on the defensive line. But yeah, they still got AJ Epinesa, Greg Rousseau. Rasul Douglas had a good year for them last year when they got him over from the Packers. Um, we'll see how the defense is. But, yeah, I mean, losing Matt Milano, again, is just, it's unfortunate. And Sean McDermott had some comments on it as well. So actually, let me get into what he had to say before we go to break here. He said, Matt's a strong young man. I know he's going to handle this. It's certainly tough, especially coming off of the year he came off of already. The good thing is he's got a good family behind him that's going to support him, teammates that are going to support him, as well as a coaching staff and our entire football organization. He's resilient, and we've got to be resilient. We've got to move forward and be focused on solutions. So that's what McDermott had to say on the Milano injury. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Probably going to be out the whole year. So, but yeah, just wanted to touch upon these two topics here. And yeah, so we got one more segment on the show today. So that will be the rankings of the receiver groups in the AFC North. So that is what we are going to cover when we come back from our final break of the show already, and then I'll take us right into the weekend. So, and that's, I talk up this division all the time, how it's the best in football. So we'll get into it, discuss it, the wide receivers for this division, and that'll be the end of the show for today. So for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.